All right. So, apologize for the lighting. It's a little dark. It's kind of rainy out today, kind of cloudy. Oh, almost forgot. Guess I'll throw these in the mix here for this video. So, shed season. This is only half the haul that we got from this year. But actually, I'll start with these because technically these were the first sheds that we got this season, and this is the flared buck. This is the buck that I was able to take, the buck that I was hunting this past late season, and the buck that I was able to get a shot at and ultimately take on January 1, actually, 2024, so on New Year's Day. This is, I guess technically was our first sheds of the year because if you haven't seen the video, you can go back on the channel and watch that. But this buck, when he ran out into the field, I think he was kind of dealing with some sort of an injury all year. He appeared very slender this fall, more than he had in the past. In the past, he was a little bit more bulky, a little bit more robust, but this past fall, he was kind of slender looking. And we thought a couple of different times that he was kind of limping maybe a little bit, kind of laboring a little bit. And actually, when I was field dressing him that night, we found a couple big pockets of pus on the inside of his ribs. So I don't know if he got gored the year prior or something, but for whatever reason, he was shedding his antlers, or very close to shedding his antlers, the night that I was able to take him on January 1. And when he ran out in the field and fell, he shed both sides. So super unique, never seen that before. We've never had that happen to us before. But yeah, so in a way, these were the first sheds of the year, and I just haven't done anything with these yet. They've been sitting in my office and trying to figure out how to mount this guy up, how to do a Euro mount with him and get him with all the rest of the bucks. So anyway, those were from the flared buck. So technically the first sheds of the year. But this here is my half of the haul that we got from this season. Jonathan and I always split them right down the middle, all the sheds that we find. And yeah, you know, we didn't have, I would say we had a pretty normal shed season. We typically find around 20 antlers, which is not a lot, and to some guys, they're gonna laugh at that. But to other guys, that is a lot. And the reason for that is we just don't have, you know, the few pieces of property that we have permission to hunt, they're usually not great properties to find a bunch of sheds on. And that's really just because of what kind of properties they are and how they set up and where they set up in relation to the big food sources in those specific areas. A couple of them are just small cattle pastures, and they're only properties that we really focus on during the rut, and we're gonna try to ambush a buck that cruises through there during late October and throughout November. And so those kind of properties, you're not typically going to find a bunch of sheds on, obviously, because the deer are not gonna be spending a lot of time there in the late season, in the winter, early spring, whenever they're really piling into those food sources like they are in the late season in the winter and whatnot. So food is king, as we all know, as whitetail hunters. And in the late season, if you don't have the food, you're just simply not going to have the deer. And so if you don't have the deer, you're not going to have the antlers to find, you know. So typically, if we find around 20 sheds with the amount of properties that we have permission on right now, that's a pretty good year. And so shed season to us is mostly about building history. We hope to find sheds to our mature bucks. Doesn't always work out that way. And like I said, with how many properties we've lost over the last several years, it just has become increasingly difficult to find a lot of shed antlers of a lot of the mature bucks that we're hunting. They just seek out the food, and we don't have the food. We've got a couple properties that are better to find sheds on than a couple of the others, and we put a lot of miles on and we do our best, but typically this is what we end up with. I didn't have the camera along for every single antler that we found. I only was able to film a handful of them, so there's that. But also, I will say this is probably one of the best finds we had from this past season. And you'll at least see, I think I filmed at least finding one of these antlers in the video. So this is a really nice young up-and-comer that we have. We know this deer pretty well. We know for sure that he's only 2 years old. And this is the kind of deer that's got some incredible potential. He was close to 130 inches as a 2-year-old. And yeah, I mean, if this deer is able to live, if he survives and he makes it till 5 or 6 years old, let's say, this is the kind of deer that, I mean, he's going to be a very nice deer in the future, but he's got the potential there to be a giant. So, I mean, here, look at him. This is the flared buck, the deer that I shot, and this is that 2-year-old. And this buck was with him like every single night when I was hunting the flared buck in the late season. Pretty stellar young deer right here. So, without showing too many of them, and like I said, Jonathan's got the other half of them. But yeah, that's basically the gist. That is what this video is about. It's pretty short, and yeah, basically just wraps up shed season 2024. So without further ado, here's the video. What is today? Day before the Super Bowl, February 10th, 2024. And this is a first for me. I've been messing around with videos, editing all day long. I was like, you know, it's a little bit late, but I gotta get out to that really small draw permission farm and pick a couple cameras up. I got a couple trail cameras here that I haven't checked since like late October. And I just decided, you know, I'll run out there real quick and pick those up. And who knows, might stumble on a shed or something. Actually, last weekend, Jonathan and I went around to a few of the other permission properties, and mainly the home farm, and went around and picked up almost all of the trail cameras. I wanted to leave one out on the Wally farm, just to kind of monitor it and see if we can pick him up again on camera a couple times. But on the way back to the truck, we stumbled upon a pretty good shed from a 2-year-old, a deer that we know really, really well. I saw him a ton, especially in late season. He was always with a flared buck. That deer's got some awesome genetics for a 2-year-old. I mean, he is a stud. He's one of the main bucks, one of the main younger bucks, I'll say, on that property that we were hoping to find a shed to, because he's the kind of deer that if he lives and if he sticks around, hopefully someday he could be a really nice deer. Potentially a giant someday. You never know if he makes it to 5, 6. We've already got one shed. We're on the board. And today, here I come out. I literally put my bino harness on, put my jacket on, and probably was out of the truck for maybe a minute and a half, and walked right up on this shed. I took this trail to cut through the draw to go around the other side so I can get to the back side, but shed laying right here. Heck yeah. There he is. Nice little 2-year-old. I know this deer. Got a bunch of pictures of this deer. I didn't hunt this property a ton this year, just a handful of times. But yeah, nonetheless, that's number 2 on the season already, so that's awesome. Just making our first rounds, come by this cattle pasture, and I just spotted a freaking stud, a really nice antler. That's definitely from last year. Awesome though, heavy, really cool deer. I have to go back and look at the pictures.
I can't picture him right now, but
Same crossing.
yep, literally the exact same crossing where we found that antler. What was it? It was literally right there, wasn't it? Not a bad start.
That's a nice 2-year-old. Or 3.
Look at the freaking tines, man.
Good young deer. Kind of like BJ.
Yeah, how he curls back in with his beams like that. Like I said, squirrels got to him, unfortunately.
That's definitely
On the board today, looks like a decent antler. Oh, dude, that's that 8. Yeah. Oh, that is cool, man. Yeah, I knew that deer was not that big, but he was definitely mature. Awesome. Had a little imprint in the grass there.
This is a massive bedding area. We never come in here. We never step foot in this place except for shed season. Or if we shot a deer that ran in here. But anyway, I'm walking this trail and I just was gonna follow a couple of these really big trails and probe into a couple of these spots where historically we have found sheds. And then when Jonathan's with me, when it's both of us, we'll come back and we'll zigzag all this and just get it all done in one sweep in one day. Plus it's still just a hair early. Anyway, long-winded way of saying, I think I spotted a shed up here. I hope I did anyway.
Know exactly what deer that is, and he's one of the ones that I was hoping to find. That is a great young deer. It's a decent buck. That is awesome. That is the match to that other big young Tim. That deer that was with the flared buck all the time. Man, that deer's got some potential. Look at that thing. Baby, what do you got there? Thank you. Corn. Hey, let's go look for an antler. More corn. Yeah. Wanna go look for an antler? Antler. We got one. I don't know why I'm... Not bad. And I think I know that deer. Awesome.